Hey friends, it's Miss Ashley. Today for your science lesson, we're going to learn about how flowers bloom. And this time of year, it's a perfect lesson to learn about because as you look outside, you might be noticing lots of plants that have flower buds that are tightly closed. And in just a few short days, these buds start to open up and the flowers blossom. So let's take a look at the lesson as well as the experiment that you get to do at the end. So we're talking about how do flowers bloom. So first let's start with one of our favorites, which are the Mystery Science videos with Doug. And he's going to get us thinking.
Hi, it's Doug. Flowers are known for being pretty, but when I think about them, I also like to think about the extremes. Like, what are the biggest flowers in the world? Well, one of them is this. It's called the Rafflesia flower, and it's found in Southeast Asia. You can see it's absolutely huge. Someone named Yahya has another question about flowers. Let's give him a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Yahya.
I have a question for you. How do flowers bloom in the spring?
That is a great question. In early springtime, you might have noticed green leaves or stems start growing little by little each day. But the amazing thing about flowers is that it's like one day, poof, almost like magic. It's not just leaves and a stem anymore, but a flower pops open on top. And notice it's not just small plants either. Many trees have flowers that bloom in springtime too. How do plants do this? I think one thing that makes this question especially interesting is that plants aren't exactly famous for moving or doing anything exciting that catches our attention, the way animals do. Animals have muscles, and muscles are what enable animals to move around all over the place. In fact, we even use part of the word animal in words like animate or animation, words that involve movement. But plants really do move, as you can see when you watch them in a sped up video. They not only open up their flower petals, they twist and reach for the sun. Some plants even capture bugs like this Venus flytrap. And yet, unlike animals, plants have no muscles. If plants don't have muscles, then how do they move? How do plants do things like make flowers pop open in springtime? Before I say anything more, now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss. Okay, you ready? One important clue is to notice what else is happening in springtime when most flowers bloom. Springtime might make you think of sunlight and warmth, and plants do need sunlight, but there's something else that happens with the weather in spring, and that's this. Lots of rain. It's usually after springtime rains that we see so many flowers start blooming. You probably know that plants soak up water from their roots. Like all living things, plants need that water to live and grow. But could it be that plants also use water in order to move? It's maybe a little weird to think of water as something that can cause movement. But forget plants for a minute. Think of a familiar situation like this. When this paper towel gets dipped into a cup of water, notice how the water moves up the paper towel. Or in this video, someone has put food coloring in water, and just by dipping a paper towel in each cup, the water slowly moves.
This is not an experiment that we're going to do, but it's definitely one I think I'm going to try at some point today because I haven't seen this before and it looks pretty cool.
From cup to cup. Water has some surprising properties. It can move up surfaces like a paper towel. Or as you might have seen if you've ever played with little toy sponge capsules like these, water even has the power to make certain things expand or swell. One way to see for yourself the power of water in plants is to notice what happens when you water a plant that's been really dry. In this sped up video, you can see how the plant stems were drooping down, but after the plant gets watered, the stems stand up straight again. So even though plants don't have muscles, Plants can soak up water from the ground, then use some of these surprising properties of water to make some of their parts move. Now, for this week's episode, we've created an activity where you can explore one of these surprising properties of.
All right, so what we're gonna do is something a little different than what they are suggesting in the video. You are definitely more than welcome to make what they're calling a pop-up card, where you put a flower inside a card, and then when you open it, it can open up. But we're gonna do something a little different, and I would like to say even a little more fun, because we're gonna actually make some flowers bloom. And here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna need to get some supplies. The supplies you're gonna need for this activity are one piece of paper, and I recommend just a regular piece of paper, kind of like the kind you put in a copier. Construction paper is another paper you can experiment with, but I definitely would say start with just a regular piece of paper. You'll need a pencil, crayons, and it's definitely important to use crayons over markers for this activity, and you'll see why. We need a pair of scissors. You're gonna need some sort of container and some water. Step one is you have to make some flowers. Now, what I did to begin is I cut out small pieces of paper, and then I drew flowers with different types of long petals. The long petals are really important for this activity, and you'll find out a little later why. And then you're gonna color your flowers with crayons, however you want them designed. Step two is you are going to cut out and fold your flowers. Now, when you carefully cut out the flowers, you're gonna notice that all of the petals are very long. That is important for the folding. So let's take a look at this video here about folding. All right, the next step is you are going to fold in your flower petals so that they are not overlapping one another, but they are folded over. And you are going to do this with each of your flowers to get them ready to bloom. So what I'm going to show you here is a close-up of all of the flowers that we made and how we folded the petals. You're going to notice that we basically took one petal and folded it in half so that none of the folds are overlapping. Definitely as you do this, you can experiment and try different methods. Lastly, you're going to watch them bloom. And this is probably the most amazing thing about this activity. So let's go ahead and watch this video to watch the flowers bloom.
All right, we're ready to watch our flowers bloom. So we're gonna pour water in our dish first and get that ready for our flowers. And then we are gonna place our flowers on top of the water and spread them out so that we can watch them open up. Look at that, they're blooming. Oh. Look at that, they're all blooming up. They're beautiful. So have fun blooming your own flowers at home.
So definitely, friends, you can see this is a really fun activity to do. There are endless ways to experiment. You could try different types of paper, you can try different shapes of flowers, and you could try folding them so they overlap and see what happens. My only recommendation is not to use markers, because most markers we use these days are like washable markers, and so you can imagine what's going to happen if you've beautifully decorated a flower and then you go set it in some water. It's definitely all the color is going to leave. So I hope this inspires you to do your own experiment so that you can see firsthand how flowers bloom. Have a great day. Bye.